I am constantly plagued by the fear of making the wrong decision. But imagine if you're like a team of five people, like you're five against five. You
Mhm.
make the wrong decision, you're letting down five people. And sometimes that can be, sometimes if you're, in good sport, that's fine. But if you're like really gunning for something, it can be a disappointment knowing that you
You
caused
made that
your
decision.
little
Yeah.
team to fail. What more if you're now making a decision that might affect 50, 100 people. You can
Yeah.
imagine how scary
It's
that
not it's
is.
not just about like when you're working for someone, it's just about you and your family, right? Like
Yeah.
feeding your family. Now it's you and feeding all of these other families.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't even realize, I didn't realize about what you said because I'm so worried about the other people. Like, it could also affect yourself and you, the people around you. It's like just so, sometimes it freezes me for days.
Hey everyone,
Welcome to Outsourcing and More with
Penny and
Francis. We're glad you're listening because we've got a lot to talk about: business, tech, investments, business mobile apps, web platforms, and all the latest trends in the outsourcing industry and more.
we'll give you tips, insights, and strategies on how to navigate the world of entrepreneurship and the gig economy.
So if you own a business, whether it's big or small,
A brand new startup,
or you're part of the huge outsourcing community as a tech professional, a VA, or an employer,
better start subscribing because this is the podcast for you.
so let's start achieving more.
Hey everyone,
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Outsourcing and More. And you are with Francis.
and my name is Penny.
And you are here with us for another episode of everything
Of
outsourcing. And
shenanigans.
and shenanigans. And you know what? Since you said shenanigans, you always want to say that it's not all about work. It's not all about being the busy entrepreneur. It's sometimes you also have to calm down,
Yeah.
and we do get to talk to each other, especially now that we're long distance. Oh, it's fun.
Super.
I mean, it used to be that we get to, um, just call each other up. I mean, that's technically what we're still doing, but every now and then we get to meet up, go grab a coffee, and have like like just a moment where we could just talk about nonsense. Maybe it would still be a little bit about work, but you know that there's times when we just need to meet each other and sort of like calm down
Yeah.
and not be the busy people that we are, right? Like that's my not so subtle intro to our topic today.
And I think when some of our friends actually ask me about our partnership, I do tell them that one of the things that do keep me sane and calm is I actually have someone to talk to that understands, right, what's happening and
Exactly where
what
you're
I'm
coming
feeling.
from.
And my confidant, oh dear. You do know this, like you're my confidant. I'm like much more transparent to you compared to anyone else, right? And
Yes, and you're my confident.
yeah.
No, no.
And I
Yeah,
think
but that's the person you get your confidence from. Never mind.
I can't. But
And that's another
anyway,
episode of Francis tries to make a silly joke. Badum.
but anyway, and I think and I know we're kind of jumping the gun here, but
Mm,
being an entrepreneur, having a business and running a business is no easy thing to do. Whenever people ask me, I tell them not to go into business. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No, whenever especially in the past, actually since this year started, I think I felt it a lot more this year than any other
yeah.
year. I mean, last year I was
Wait, what did
already
you feel? What is this feeling deep inside?
well, a lot of anxiety. First off, like a lot of anxiety, a lot of being down and out because with everything that's happened, right? Anxiety because there are things that happen in business that you did not expect to happen, like
Yeah.
you did not expect. it to happen, and from
Yeah.
people that you thought were on your or were in your court.
I mean, 100%. What you know, you know, just to sort of like bring this all together, we haven't even announced our topic today, but I'm just gonna jump on what you said. Is that when you say you give advice to friends that maybe don't start business? I think the problem there is a lot of people think like when I have my own business, it's going to be easy. It's going to be a walk in the park. It's I put everything together. Uh, we put everything together, and then it's just gonna run by itself. But no, my friend, no,
No,
no. It is
absolutely not.
worse than giving birth. It is worse than it is worse than a. It's
Spoken like someone has given birth.
yeah. From from experience. And I imagine it's the most painful thing on earth. But
Hmm.
it's worse than being middle manager. Sometimes it's worse than work, honestly. But
Mm-hmm.
just before we forget, our topic today is mindfulness for entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
Busy entrepreneurs. And this is to say again, most entrepreneurs would be very, very busy. And maybe what's different is some people thrive in that kind of busy environment, and some people, they have their business thrust upon them. Not contrary to popular belief, some people don't actually want.
Or maybe the reason that they're able to actually thrive in it is because they do some practices, you know, to make
Yes,
sure that they're
they don't get
sane.
caught up in the madness
Yes.
of the day-to-day grind. Because when you're your own, when you're
Boss.
your own company, when you're your
Yeah.
own boss, it's not really about the 9 to 5 anymore. At least in
Yeah.
the
No.
beginning, a lot of times when you have to, some people are lucky to not have to put up a lot of capital. Some people
Mm-hmm.
are lucky to have like a lot of capital, a lot of resources. But some businesses that had to succeed out of pure gumption, like
Mm-hmm.
literal blood, sweat, and tears. There, it may not have come from resources such as money, but it did come from time and you resource,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so that means you basically, if you can, that's when people say like 24-hour business, and it can be very fulfilling, right? Like, that's sort of
I mean, we
where
wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't worth it in the end,
yeah,
right? Like
and
if we weren't getting any from it.
yeah, and I was gonna say that's technically how we started.
Mm-hmm.
If you remember that's how we did, like we're basically 24/7,
Yeah,
virtual,
even
virtual,
Saturday,
virtual.
Sundays, we would still we talk about business. At that, like at one point, I had to just cover my ears and sing, you know, la la la,
La 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 la
just
la
so
la.
we could stop talking. And I think the reality is, and actually I'm pretty happy that more entrepreneurs are talking about this, is the
Mm,
anxiety and the stress that comes with running a business. I think, with a lot of thought leaders out there, a lot of experts coming out, they say do this, do that, right? But they really don't talk about the struggles of running a business. And I'm in this, we're in this group of agency owners,
yep.
and I
Hello,
mean,
Noah.
it's bad to say, but it's comforting
Yes.
to know that we're not the only ones that are experiencing anxiety and stress
Yeah.
when it comes to running a business, and that everything that we're going through is it's normal.
Yeah.
It's actually normal. And I
I
guess
mean,
that's like, mhm,
oh no, I was gonna say 100%. We did go through several odd years of
yeah.
trying to go through this by ourselves. It's, you know, now that we know some things, like in terms of business sense, like find the mentor. We didn't really do that. We just sort of. But the funny thing is, a lot of the, like when you go to some symposiums, they say, this is how I ran my business. I basically poured my everything and I didn't stop. There's a the quotes that say, sleep is for losers. You have to live, think, breathe your business in order for it to be
Mm-hmm.
successful. Surprisingly, it kind of didn't have to be that. Maybe, maybe if we did it all over again, would we have done it? Would we have done things differently? I don't know. But now that things have certainly gotten busier,
Mm-hmm.
as you said, the anxiety has been there. Maybe the stress levels have risen. I guess it's time to talk about like what have we been doing to avoid again the sheer madness of having to deal with a growing business. And for those of you out there, like, we just say very lucky, very humbly, very proudly that it's doing very, very well. Is it,
Mm-hmm.
you know are there days when I say iyon na?
Yeah. There
Yes.
are days there, you're just ready to pack up. There
Just
are
pack up
days.
and parang, is it worth it? Yes. Is it L'Oreal? Maybe are worth it.
Jeez, with these
Sorry.
jokes, Francis.
I know. Why am I dad jokes today? Oh my goodness. But yes, before we dive into that, let's just, drive the point home by saying, um, you and we've seen each other. We're honest enough with each other to know that we've been going through the same levels of stress, and we have, in fact, taken it out on each other as well.
That's true.
Yeah. So let's say, what has been your, your stress causes? What's caused you stress lately?
You. I just,
Funny, I was about to say
I
the same thing.
no. When Virtual was smaller, I think our team, they were our friends, right? Like we knew them, we were closer to them, and so
Yes.
it was easier to manage. And now that it's gotten bigger, it's gotten bigger. You can't really predict everyone's behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Um, as much as you don't want to have all of these rules and everything, but sometimes there are going to be people who are going to test, or who are going just to test your patience and test, um yeah, who are just going to test your patience and, yeah, test your
Sometimes
belief
not,
in
and
yourself.
sometimes not. Not intentionally. Sometimes, let's just make it a point that sometimes it's not really doing it
Yeah,
intentionally. Sometimes it's a
I
lot
don't
of,
think they're doing it intentionally to test you. It's more because they reacted that way,
yeah.
and
You'll be
their
surprised.
perception is different than how you perceived the
Yeah.
situation. And so
And right.
they acted differently, you acted differently, and then it all like snowballed from
Mm-hmm.
there. I think it's
Sometimes
more
when
that.
things are small, when teams are smaller, you kind of think alike, which is, hello, harken
Yeah,
back
that's
to
true. That's
DEI.
true. Hmm.
Because you're smaller, you talk to each other more often. You're more in tune with each other's thoughts, decisions, feelings. So you know that when you say something, it's mostly like, yeah, maybe I understand, maybe I don't understand, maybe we agree to disagree, but we're sort of all on the same page. But when it's like
Yeah, yeah.
a bigger organization, you think you're all aligned, but then when you say, are we all okay with this? And somebody says, no, I'm not. And you're like, it kind of
Or it
takes you
doesn't
aback, doesn't
even
it?
talk, right? Or doesn't
Which
even
is
talk.
worse. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah.
Which is worse. Yeah.
I think
Or,
that's the biggest stressor that
mm-hmm,
I had this year is, and just so you know, we were through it, right? And we wouldn't be talking about this if it wasn't like it's okay, we're okay now and everything,
okay.
right?
Are
But
we going there?
no, I mean,
Okay.
I've been through it,
Yeah.
right?
You
Like
have been
it's
through
done.
it, yes. You've been,
Yeah,
honestly,
like it's done.
I can honestly say I've seen you been put through the ringer. I've seen you
I'm just laughing.
I've seen you like this. I've seen
Yeah.
it happen to you. But yes,
And what
those are,
about you? Like, what's your biggest cause of stress lately?
I mean, honestly, there's two things. I am constantly plagued by, the fear of making the wrong decision.
Mm.
Because, sometimes 50-50, like when you're in a pub quiz and they say true or false, and you're like, go, false. And then the answer is like, true. How frustrating is it to know that you already had like a 50-50 decision and then you still
Mm.
chose the wrong thing, right? But that was you. So if that was like a spelling bee, for example, where you're just doing for yourself. But imagine if you're like a team of 5 people, like you're 5 against 5. You
Mhm.
make the wrong decision, you're letting down 5 people. And sometimes that can be, sometimes if you're, in good sport, it's fine. But if you're like really gunning for something, it can be a disappointment knowing that you
You
caused
made
your
that
your
decision.
little
Yeah.
team to fail. What more if you're now making a decision that might affect 50, 100 people? You
Yeah.
imagine how scary
It's
that
not it's
is.
not just about, like, when you're working for someone, it's just about you and your family, right? Like
Yeah.
feeding your family. Now it's you and feeding all of these other
Yeah.
families.
I mean, I didn't even
'Cause
realize, I didn't realize about what you said because I'm so worried about the other people. Like, it could also affect yourself and you, the people, the people around you. It's like just so, sometimes it freezes me for days. Like, I
yeah.
am, what's the word? Is it catatonic? No. Sometimes I'm just paralyzed for days, having to think
Yeah.
about what is the decision that I need to make, and sometimes that decision that you need to make is just a yes or no question. And
Yeah.
again, the results could be like, if we gamble on this and we say yes, and you know how we love to play it safe, right? Have
Yeah.
but having said that there are decisions that have to be made, like renegotiate, like saying, should I bring up a conversation regarding negotiating a contract? And maybe it's not life
Hmm.
threatening, but you only have like one chance. Do not let your chance, because opportunity counts when comes once in a lifetime. No, Eminem, never mind. But yes, never mind, I will refuse to sing. But yes, you sometimes you just say, it's easy, it's left or right. But it's weird how paralyzing
Yeah.
that can be, right? And it's just, it can also affect your, the rest of your day, because it comes back to haunt you, right?
Hmm.
And the other thing, it used to be where, because it's us and it's one client, and you mostly have you have an understanding of how the operation goes, blah blah blah. There's very rarely any days where somebody comes up to you and says, bulaga, like, here's a surprise issue. But for some reason, the bigger you've grown as a company, there's all of these like little new things that keep popping up that you haven't really thought about. Like, you remember one of those early days when one of your clients said, we're just about to say yes, but how do you deal with cybersecurity channels?
Hmm.
Like those questions like that you, no, 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 PII,
GDPR.
GDPR, questions like
Mm.
that. And then you're like, oh yeah. Because back then, when you're like a team of 5 people, which is roughly where we started, we're just, no, we won't. We were operating off of our own devices, and you were operating off of our own devices, and people were just like, yes, we won't. And then you can basically have that what's the word, integrity factor.
Hmm.
You sign the little and non-disclosure agreement, and then the agreement that says, you're not, thou shalt not do this, thou shalt not do that, thou shalt not print, right? And we had the
Hmm.
opportunity to do that, to be honest, but we just never did. But for now, for some reason, again, the more that the number has grown exponentially, the more that you basically cannot just rely on that integrity thing. So we had to shift with,
Yes.
all sorts of you had to get the devices that disable the USB
The
and the
downloads.
downloads
Yeah.
and all
Hmm.
that. But that entire period, which is within operations, we were like,
Hmm.
why are we doing this? How did this just come up? Like, we never had to deal with this before. And it's one of those days that, okay, somebody want to take my position? Go. But how did it affect you? Let's say during that period.
Oh, you've seen me.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
I,
I know I've seen you, but we're not supposed to like leave it at that.
yeah, no, I mean,
We're talking. We're
I know
we're
I'm
discussing it for
about to
them.
start. Sorry.
Hi guys.
I think yeah, I think it was the hardest things because I try to live my life authentically. What you see is what you get.
Mm-hmm.
Like what I say is really what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like, you know, thinking something else in my head, and you know, I just like to live my life authentically, and it was really challenging for me because I challenging, and also at some point I didn't want to talk to anyone at some
Yeah.
point. And you know this about me, sometimes I do shut down. Sometimes I don't even talk to you.
Yeah. I mean,
You know, there are
it's
moments that I don't, and then I'll talk to you afterwards.
yeah.
But I did shut down quite a bit. It was very difficult because it kind of got hard to trust,
Yeah.
to really be trusting of the
The
team
weird thing
that
is
we have.
you realize that you're losing sleep over
Yeah.
it.
Oh no, I was. Do you know that saying, when you're sad, you're always just sleeping? Around that time, I was always asleep. Like the entire for 24 hour. If we have 24 hours in a day, I was asleep about
Yeah.
16
You're
hours of that
basically
time because
shutting down. You just want to
yeah,
put
I
the
was
covers
really
over
shutting
eyes.
down
In my case, it's more like
because I didn't want to think. I
yeah.
really didn't want to think during that time.
The weird thing for
Yeah,
me is like
because
it's the sleeplessness. It's more like I kept thinking about things, but not really being productive with my thoughts, which is
or
even worse.
repeating things
Yes.
inside your head,
Yeah.
like repeating the scenario, or repeating, I should have said this, you know, we should have gone with that option instead of this one.
Yeah.
I think that
Oh, you
happens to
always
me
say like,
too.
"Oh, hindsight is 2020, and why didn't I go with option A?" Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're a gambling person, you probably know what that means. But, let's say we've gone through our own versions of rings, but how and sometimes it's even just those are the biggest things. But what about the day to
Mm.
day sort of busy? Like when you look at your calendar and you're like, wow, there's a 5 minute break in between available. And that's even reserved for like free time somebody might message you. And and it's different when you've grown past having to have a busy schedule and being able to manage your calendar. But I suppose everybody's been through something like that.
Yeah.
Just day in, day out, somebody messaging, somebody you're being pulled from all angles. And it's that's the day-to-day thing of putting out fires even. So what is your uh what
So
is
now
the
you're
penny
asking me
way?
questions because in the last few episodes I was
You were
asking
drilling me,
questions.
and now it's my turn. Mwahaha.
So
Because I
so now
don't
it's
have
my
an
turn to
answer
say
for it.
thank you for that wonderful question. So my turn to say that. But finding, you know, I have been trying to reframe my mindset.
Mm-hmm.
I think is the number one thing that I've been trying to do so far. Um and when I say trying to reframe my mindset, I first off I try to figure out what's triggering me, and if and just be, you know, mindful. And I've told you about this. Have you ever like noticed that when you're stressed, like everything's like just clenched, even your hands are, your muscles are, your I've told you about this, right? Like your teeth are like when you're just
Yes.
high emotion, everything is.
I,
And I
I will
try
I
to
will
be
I will
very,
stop you just a little bit there. If you haven't experienced this before, the clench here
yeah, the clench. Yeah,
leads to the
true. That's
headaches
all.
here. If you haven't, like,
Oh,
yeah, I've noticed it. Like you have to visibly unclench your jaw,
jaw.
and
Yeah.
then when you anyway, that's where some of my headaches actually come from. But just imagine the other things that you have to clench. When you said like clench all of your muscles, all the way down to. I mean, it was right there, Penny. It was right there.
The low hanging fruit.
Yeah,
You just had to. You just had
I just
to.
had to. But yes,
No,
going back.
no. What I was saying was, I try to notice that more, when that's happening, so that I know that I have to just relax everything. And I don't know if anyone has done any meditation at all, or even heard about guided meditation and everything. That's one thing that they always say during meditation, like that body. I forgot what it's called, but
Mind body
during guided
connection.
meditation, they tell you about, feel everything about your body, like from
Mm.
the tippy tops of your head, up until your toes, like just head,
Shoulders, knees,
shoulders,
and
knees, and
toes.
toes. No, really, that's how. If you've
No,
heard
I
guided
have
meditations, that's really how. And that's what I do when I feel like everything's like I'm very very tense, and I just try to just go over my entire body and just relax everything.
the
That's the first thing that I do.
the surprising thing about the guided meditation. So for those of you, just in case, it goes through all of the forms. It's yoga, it's
Mm.
meditation, it's the affirmation, words of affirmation. I feel like they're
Mm-hmm.
all different versions of the same thing. So you find whatever works for you. But I have gone through the guided
Mm-hmm.
meditation, and it's so weird how you when they say, uh what was it, like, feel the tops of your nose and visibly exhale, relax your face, and then you can literally feel like your jaw muscles
Yeah.
unclench, and then you're like, release the tension in your shoulders. And I'm like, oh my god, it's like I'm really like. No, I'm trying to make light of it, but during that moment, like, especially because we do it
Yeah.
on a busy day, and then I decided to do it, like, there was this little group that I joined, and they were like, take a moment to feel yourself, just take a deep breath, and be mindful of your breath, and be mindful of your, visibly relax, and feel visibly relax, and
Mm.
I
This podcast is now sounding like a guided
yeah,
meditation.
so take a deep breath
Recorded.
and then exhale.
No, but it's true. I mean, although I think the hardest, the difficult thing for me for meditation is just making sure that you do it every day, or at least regularly.
Or when you need it, at
Um,
least.
yeah, I think the other thing that I do consistently, especially since the start of the fourth quarter last year, which I've been doing like a lot of years. I just restarted, fourth quarter of last year was doing workouts.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, mindfulness is not just guided meditation and just centering yourself and everything. It's also, there's also what they call like movement
Mm-hmm.
in meditation. So movement, mindfulness through movement. So you mentioned yoga, um, through me exercise.
Right.
So I put out my aggression through exercise. No, really, I
No,
do.
I know. I
And I
know
told
what
you
you
this when I
mean.
when I started going to the gym again. I was like, why did I wait? Why was I stubborn that I said I could do it at home and I
Yeah.
waited before I sign up for the gym, when um it's something that I've enjoyed doing before, and I was able to be consistent before. And now that I'm doing it again and I'm more consistent, it's done wonders
It it
for my sanity.
Yeah, the sanity of it all. One thing that I have noticed too, how your app, so by the way, look, new watch, who this, but the when my watch reminds me, is it, oh, you haven't stood up for a while, it's time to take a walk, and they used to go
Yeah.
like, yeah, no, we're not doing that. But I actually no, I mean, I actually do. Ideally, even before, it reminds me, like every hour or so, I try to do that. But on particular days when things are rough, I know when I
Mm.
feel like it's here or the shoulders are tense here, I literally just close everything down. Like nothing is more important than being able to center yourself again. You said I'm gonna take a 5 minute walk. It could be around the block, but it's just a moment to like
Mm-hmm.
just drop everything, center like no, you're thinking too much and it does wonders. So yes, I'm glad that you're doing something similar. I haven't really taken out my aggression through work through exercise, so remind me to do that. But then again, I might end up falling.
Oh, aren't you do wall climbing?
Yes, but I imagine I wouldn't want to be punching holds and stuff like that.
Oh no, I'm not. Okay, so when I'm really really angry, I go
Right.
boxing, but my consistent go to is
Okay. No,
weights, like
I understand. I'm
traditional
just I'm
big.
just
Yeah.
saying. Like just spin class.
I know, but walking is actually very effective. I think. I remember three distinct times where I didn't know that I was walking while thinking, and that allowed me to
WWT.
kind of no, and that allowed me to kind of make sense of what I was feeling and what I was
Yeah.
thinking. One of the and just like one of this distinct moments was I was still in college and I was walking around the Akad Oval in UP. I completed the Akad Oval in
Right.
UP because
The whole
of
oval.
just thinking. But walking
Yeah,
works.
walking does work.
I mean, mindfulness is not just it's not just
Yeah.
sitting. It's not just
And it's calming. And it's
meditating.
calming too
It's your
because it lets you
movement.
just not think of, it's why people say walk off the aggression, like walk it off. Like when people are like in a fight, like back away, walk it off, etc., etc. But I'm just gonna center it back. Like, do we even try to bring this to the office? Do you know if we do? Because I'd like to think that we do.
In the office, what do you mean? If you do it while you're working,
I
or
mean,
if we're encouraging everyone?
hopefully we're not just us. You lead by example. Do you know if you're
Mm.
translating the same, like overcoming stress to your team, for example? Your team, for example.
You know what? I I tell my leads, especially for this account that we're talking about, I tell them that is as leaders sometimes the emotional regulation part is very very
Hmm.
important. Um, so I try my best, and mind you, I failed already beginning of this year, but I try my best to appear as if
You're sane.
even if there are any challenges, right? Yeah, even if there are any challenges, we're going to be
Yeah.
fine, and I
Yeah.
mean it. We're going to be fine. It's just that sometimes you just can't put up a
it's
front.
it's also not
It
always it's
happens.
also not always a win, but we'll be fine. I understand what you
Yeah.
mean. I mean, maybe that's not exactly what I meant by leading by example, but that's a very very insightful thing, which on the flip side can also be very very stressful for you as the leader because you're the face of the team. So it's very important that you project
Hmm.
like a show
Yeah,
of
because
strength.
if you're the leader and you're stressed, and everyone in your team feels
Yeah,
like you're panicking
it's a
and you're
little trickle
stressed,
down.
they're not going to be able to
Yeah.
perform well. I think that's my
Yeah.
worry. There are a couple of people where I tell them like straight up what's happening and straight up
Hmm.
what I'm feeling. But for everyone else, we try, we definitely want everyone to
You
perform,
want
right?
everyone to
And so you put
perform.
up
You
that.
want to give
Yeah.
them like, here are your goals, but at the same time you can't show them your stress because that it really transfers, right? Like the energy transfers. So
Yeah,
it's
it does.
palpable. It's honestly very palpable if you think about it. But at the same
Mm.
time, the one thing that we've both been very very adamant about is we think about stuff all the time. We have to deal with that ourselves. But oftentimes we're like, oh my gosh, we should have told Don. We should have told Don this, and we're like, I'll just go
Hi,
ahead and
Don.
message him on Messenger. And we've tried to, because some of the newer ones you haven't been used to how we work yet. They would reply as soon as they
Mm.
see our message, and we'd be like,
Oh, I tell them don't
Don't
reply
reply.
back.
Yeah.
I
I mean, it's gonna
yeah.
be tedious to have to like say that all the time, but you have to be very, very, you tell them we're messaging this because if we forget, we'll never be able to remember and tell you. But if we message you outside of office hours, absolutely not. It's just meant to be there as a, just so we don't forget. But, nothing, we try not to
Mhm.
bug people outside their work hours as much as possible. You try to lead by example, when you see somebody who is stressed, I'd like to think that, say, do you need to take a moment to calm down? Maybe, take 5 minutes to yourself, come back when you're okay. And I think hopefully the way that you treat your immediate juniors becomes the way
Mhm.
that they treat the rest of
The
the
people
rest
that
of the
yeah.
organization.
The one thing that I
Yeah.
do to try to calm someone down, or I feel like their emotions are high because they have, high expectations of of themselves, or they're very very
Hmm.
stressed, they want to perform well, so they're putting all of these expectations upon
It's just
themselves.
so
I
hard.
really try a little bit, right? But I mean, you love them for it, but you also don't want
Yeah,
them to
you
burn
don't
out.
want them to die trying. Like
Yeah.
I'd love that you see it trying, but I'm also, oh my god, you're gonna so maybe stop.
Kaput. No,
When somebody just
I
goes,
the
ayun.
yeah. So the thing that I do is I talk very slowly,
Mm-hmm.
and I lower my voice,
Mm-hmm.
and then I speak
Oh
softly.
yeah.
No, because when emotions are
Mm.
high, right? When the emotions are high and you also talk the
You
same
can't
tone and
match.
pitch
You
as
can't
them,
match.
it's
Yeah,
just
you,
gonna
you
stay
can't
there.
match the energy.
Yeah, the emotions are just
Yeah,
yeah. So you have to kind of really lower
yeah.
everything, slower,
Actually, it's nice
lower,
if you can tell them like,
so that they
sit
can
down with
come.
me, breathe with me, you know, take a moment to just calm down. It's not the end of the world. And sometimes you can see them because and again, you appreciate them when you say, all I wanted was to perform. I was supposed to be the top agent, so I can't do this.
Yeah.
Like I can't get a low CSAT. Like, it's not. It's not. Like, but it's also a testament to like how much stress are they building. And I do understand that the nature of competitiveness. I told you I was in a pub quiz a while ago. And
Yeah, and you
normally if you're
won.
just like in a good playful mood, like especially if you're just doing middling, like if there's 10 of you, you're like somewhere around 7 or 8, and you're just like, oh yeah, then we're just playing. And if it's wrong, if you got a question wrong, you're like, ah ha ha, I got it wrong. But when you find yourself like somewhere around like fourth, third, second, first, the tension is now real because like you can taste the victory. And there were those times when like the pub quizzes don't sound fun at all. It's not fun at all because it's just like 40 questions of like, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. And like every wrong question is just like, but yes, that's what I had to go through. So I totally understand where they're coming from, especially since, in most accounts, most call centers, actually most anything that has like high KPIs, there's the notion of like reward for top performance. If not the very top, then maybe
Hmm.
like the top two, three, or maybe top 10, top percentile of the account. And it's just so hard to like fight for that for the whole 30 days and
Hmm.
then do it all over again, right? Yeah, and I'm
Hmm.
just saying. And
Yeah.
for it, that sometimes the harsh reality of things is that some people are naturally good at it. The people who are good at sales are naturally good at selling. But if you're not built for sales, the tension is higher because you have to fight for something that doesn't come naturally for you. Same thing with customer service. Like if you're naturally, what's the word? If you're not naturally, if being nice and friendly and chatty doesn't come natural to you, then you're going to struggle a little
Mm.
bit more. But, you know, that is neither a conversation for here and there because it might be a conversation of being the right fit for where you are in life. But then again, some people find themselves here and then they build up on stress. And what are the things that they can do? Yes, absolutely. Making that decision, whether you're in the right place or whether you want to tough it out, that's fine. But when you do find that the stress is building up, just to recap, find your center, when you realize the signs of stress, when you do realize it, what are you doing to get rid of it? It can be what we are doing,
Mm.
finding a moment to find your center, walk, do your guided meditation. Honestly, if your gym is very close by, you can actually pop off for a 15-minute workout, right? Find somebody, find that or find your person, which is also very important. That one person who can calm you down,
Yeah.
who will also always find time to calm you down. Sometimes they, you know,
Who will not
who will
hype
not
you
hype you
up?
up, like, yes, oh my God, let's all be mad together. No, it's like, calm down. And it's surprising that you'll be able to find somebody who does that. But yes, yeah. And for work, just to recap things, it's always nice to be able to, at least from our perspective, if you're somebody who feels that your top down is triggering, a tense environment, maybe go ahead and talk to them, because again, being able to speak from a position of leadership, we'd like to be able to say it has to start with you. The level of competition can start with you, but also be ready to pull somebody back when they're on that edge, right? And then between
Hmm.
yourselves, maybe don't match the level of energy when somebody is like, about to jump over the edge. So you lead by example, you create that sort of environment that allows you to calm down when things are stressed, and then basically for I think what we were trying to talk about, like, not bothering anybody at work, is being able to say work life balance. Let's not forget, take a break when you need to. Not everything is about work. We live to work. What's the other one? Work, or you work to live. And which one would you rather do?
Me?
I mean, more as a general thing. We live to work, not the other. We work to live. We live to work. Actually, it could be equal, eh? But some people literally just take the living so that they can work to the next level. Don't do that. At the end of the day,
Yeah.
the loyalty of the company is not to you. You do you yourself. If working makes you happy, fine. But don't think for a second that the company's loyalty, any other company's loyalty will be with you. Like when you get sick. So don't prioritize yourself.
Very
Thank
well
you.
said. I think you summarized I think you summarized everything that we talked about. Being in business and doing work, it's stress is
Just
a given. It will
yeah.
happen, right? It will happen. You'll get anxious, you'll get stressed. Sometimes the occasional burnout. I'm hoping it's not a regular thing for you, to go through burnout. And I think the everything that you mentioned, mindfulness, meditation, and everything, those are just some things that you can do. Let us know what actually works for you. Please
Oh my
comment down
gosh.
below. And I think that's
Yeah, if we
a
can learn
yeah, and
something
I
from
think
you,
that's a
please
wrap
let us
for
know.
today's.
Yeah.
Yes,
If it's
please.
not too
Yes, please.
expensive,
We're
because
always on the
if
lookout.
your idea of
Yeah,
calming down is
please no
breaking
expense.
stuff, maybe well, suggest it anyway. Who knows?
So thank you so much for listening, and that is a wrap for today's episode of Outsourcing and More. So if you haven't, please subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. We are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. And don't forget to to leave us a rating and a review. And again, if you have any comments, please do let
Yeah.
us know
And
below.
help us improve our reach, help us find more listeners like you. But also, if you have any actual thoughts and comments that you'd like us to know, you have any suggestions for us to improve our podcast, please email us at oam virtualsolutionsos.com. We do love absolutely hearing from you. So thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next time here at Outsourcing and More. Thank you and goodbye.
Bye.
Subscribe to our podcast.
We also have a YouTube channel where you can see the faces behind the voices.
You can also find Virtual Solutions on Facebook and LinkedIn.
And if you've got a topic you've been wanting to learn about, let us know by sending us an email at
OAM at virtualsolutionsos.com. Again, it's OAM at virtualsolutionsos.com.
See you in the next episode.
Goodbye.
Bye.